Welcome back. We are up here in, well, next to the gun room today for another accessory or range accessory review for those of us that are fortunate enough to have our own range space, or maybe you're in a position to where you own a range that others shoot at and you're looking at introducing additional targets and stuff for them to shoot and yourself. But I was contacted by HighWild, which previously I have reviewed a couple of their steel silhouette targets that I personally purchased back, oh gosh, almost 2 years ago, and they have performed absolutely flawless. Extremely impressed with the quality on those. They seen those reviews. They reached out to me to see if I'd want to work with them in reviewing some of their newer products coming out. I was like, yeah, sure. If they're as quality as what those silhouettes are, I was definitely down for it. But this is going to be one of their new Texas Stars. So these are not even out on the market yet. They sent us here at the High the very first one in the United States. So that's pretty cool. So a huge shout out to them. But I wanted to kind of go over the details of it initially. So let me kind of pan out here so we can see all of the parts. But this is an AR-500 3/8 thick, 8-inch diameter Texas Star. And just initial impressions out of the box. So everything came in 2 packages. So the first box had all of the steel targets and the mounting plates. And then there was another box that had the brackets, the pillow block bearing set, the arms, the legs, and some of the protective braces. So either way, guys, this thing is heavy. I could not believe how heavy the original box was, but nonetheless, this is all very, very thick steel pieces, and I'll kind of give you an idea. So this is just one of the mounting plates here. So, and here is one of the steel targets. So, I mean, this is 3/8 thick AR-500, and every piece on this kit is AR-500 down to the legs, which are these pieces here. So those there, the arms themselves that hold the spring assemblies that capture the targets themselves, the pillow block mount, the center section support, the base, and then it has a protective cap that goes over top of the pillow block to keep it safe from shrapnel. So, I mean, they've definitely put a little engineering into it. The quality of the finish is kind of meh. The paint, of course, that they use, that's going to come off. I'm not really too worried about that there. But overall, it seems to be pretty well put together as far as the quality of the components. Now, first initial impressions, some of the bad that I've seen, the way that they packaged it is going to be a no-go. So I don't even know if I can get this on the camera, but I'm going to pan the camera over and let you see the box. There's the box that the big part came in, and this stuff is entirely too heavy to come in just a standard cardboard box. So it needs some sort of like a honestly like a wooden frame inside it. I know that's probably going to add some cost. However, whenever I received it, there was parts that were sticking out of the box. That's unacceptable. These are going to retail MSRP around the $750 to $800 range. So it needs to be shipped properly. I mean, that's to be expected. These are some really heavy pieces. I mean, this stuff is not light. So after it's been beat around in the trucks and then they finally get it to you, the shipping container that it's in is going to take some serious abuse. So I'd like to see them, package it a little bit better, maybe inside of a wooden frame in a box, so that way your stuff doesn't shift and bust out of the box. That would be really helpful. But so far, that's the only issue that I've had. It does come with an instruction sheets. So, I mean, they're pretty straightforward. I mean, it's pretty easy to put together. There's really not much to a Texas Star if you've never seen one. It's basically just some arms mounted to a pillow block that your steel plates can kind of fit into. With that said, I mean, that's really all there is. You get a big, massive bag of hardware, and this bag was split open as well because all that stuff shifting around inside of the box. So and I will say good on them, they even included a spanner wrench to tighten down the nut on your pillow block assembly. So that's pretty cool. So at least they did think of that. But I'm going to pause the camera. I'm going to get all this put together. And if during the assembly I come across anything that's out of the way, I'll fire the camera back up and point that out to you all as well. But I will get it put together and we'll get it back to the hide and we'll get a closer look at it when it's all assembled. All right, guys, so we're back here at the hide. We've got our Texas Star put together. A couple of brief things that I noticed while I was putting this together. For the most part, it went together fine. No real issues. The only major issue was, like I said, those pins in here. Make sure you kind of study those directions. Those pins go in there to help hold the arms in place while you're putting everything together. Otherwise, structurally, I don't really see a purpose for them, but just make sure you put them where they need to go. And the legs, make sure whenever you're putting your legs on that these little notches here are facing upwards, so you can use that as kind of a secure point if you wanted to secure it to the ground a little bit better. And then on the back here, this little cover, make sure that it's away from these bolts. So once I mocked everything up, these bolts were actually hitting this cover. So I had to loosen the pillow block bolts and this shroud and kind of shift it back. Now, once I did that, it was fine, but just make sure that you have enough clearance there to make sure that spins freely, which as you can see, it does. And then kind of idea how this works is you have these adjustment points here on each of the arms. So these spring-loaded tabs are what holds your AR500 plates in. Once the bullet comes in and contacts it, it kind of bends this forward, and then the plate flops down, and then the star goes swinging. Now, the cool thing about this design is you can custom tailor this to the kind of ammunition you're shooting. So if you're shooting a 9mm, you may not need as much tension as if you were shooting, say, a 10mm. You might need a little bit more tension, or could use a little bit more. But it's pretty cool because it's user adjustable. So I definitely like that. The front part of it, I like how the stand itself is at an angle. So if you shoot this, which I'm sure it will get shot quite a bit, little less chance of damaging this center post because it's at an angle and it can deflect those rounds into the backstop. So I'm going to go in and grab a pistol. I'll probably grab the DTT Glock clone. We'll take a few shots on this thing and see how it does, and then we'll get some final thoughts. All right, so I'm kind of moved it over to the other side of the backstop area here to kind of give us a little bit more room, because this thing is pretty good sized. I mean, from span to span, you're looking at about 4.5 feet. So, I mean, it's got some width to it. So you're definitely going to want to have this on a range with some space. I mean, this isn't something that you're really going to use for any type of tactical shooting, but more so kind of like games with your friends, competition style of shooting, things like that. They are absolute great training tools for getting yourselves lined up on target and making those shots quickly. Now, it has been years since I have actually shot one of these, but they are a boatload of fun. I did have to take a few shots on this to get the spring tension set up on it, but I think we got that pretty well. But the overall idea is to shoot these plates off without getting the wheel to spin an inordinate amount. So most people will start at the top and then kind of work their way across as the wheel starts to spin in the opposite direction. That's usually kind of the safest method. Now, the thing with that is if you miss one of the lower targets, it really starts to go crazy, so it makes it even harder to hit that. Or you can kind of do a zigzag pattern. Now, a zigzag pattern, for those of you that are really experienced in pistol, and I'll be honest with you guys, I've said this more than once on the channel, I am not a pistol shooter. I know enough and can do enough to be adequate for carrying my EDC firearm and a little bit of tactical running gun, but as far as competition style stuff like this, you know, take my methods with a grain of salt. However, you don't have to be a pro to have fun with one of these and to train with it. So that's kind of the idea behind this. This is a more affordable model that you could actually get for your range, or maybe your club's range, to get you guys out and actually shooting. The zigzag method does provide a little bit quicker, you know, clearance of the plates, provided that you're adequate enough shooting to get those before it really starts to go nuts and start spinning. But I'm going to move the camera. We're going to step back and we're going to take some shots and see if I can knock some of these plates off for you. All right, so HighWild recommends 10 yards on their steel pistol targets, so shooting 9mm, 45, 40, 10, things like that, and then 100 yards on their rifle steel. So I will inset a picture of those recommendations now and let you guys see that as far as the caliber usage and the thickness of the plates. So this Texas Star uses a 3/8 thick steel AR-500 plate, so it will take pretty much any pistol caliber on the market, and most all rifle calibers as well out at 100 yards. So let's see if I can do this thing any justice. You guys try not to flame me too much in the comments. And yes, I do know, for those of you range Nazis, the top target is over the backstop, but if you know anything about the hide here, 300 yards back there is a massive embankment, so there is nothing going to leave my property and there is nothing back there. So chill out, I'm not an idiot, I know where to shoot. So let's see if we can do any justice here on our Texas Star. So I'm going to try to go around it like this, basically staying on the right side. We'll reset it up and then I'll see if I can do the zigzag method. Totally got me. All right, so I'm gonna pause, I'm gonna set them up again and we'll try it some more. All right, so I'm gonna try that same technique again and see if I can make myself look at least a little bit better here. And let's see. All right, we got it. Nice. So I'm gonna reset them up one more time and then we're gonna try that zigzag method, guys. Okay guys, I got the targets put back in. We're gonna try that zigzag pattern now. Redeemed myself a little bit on the last target, so hopefully I don't ruin it on this one, but fingers crossed, and let's see what we can do. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the zigzag pattern is definitely harder, but I could see where it would be faster because you're not waiting for the targets to kind of spin around. But let me go back over there. I'm gonna move the camera. We'll get some final thoughts on this thing. All right, so some final thoughts on our HighWild Texas Star. And first and foremost, it is a blast to shoot. It's just a lot of fun, especially if you've never done anything like this. Now, I will say, is this something that you all are just going to be able to run out and grab? No, probably not. I mean, you've got to have a space to house it in. Even with my own range here, this thing is a little big for my area. But, I mean, it functions great. It is pricey. I mean, even being a budget-minded option is still $700-800. That's not cheap. I totally get that. So it's going to be something that's maybe a couple of buddies could go in on for your guys' range. That could be something there. Like I said, if you're trying to increase the speed at which you can engage targets, I could definitely see how this thing would help. Even just dinking around with it back here for a little bit for the review. I mean, I could see myself even pointing quicker than what I normally do. So there is some value out of shooting things like this. I mean, I shot a little bit off camera when I was adjusting the spring tension for the paddles, and I mean, it's done just fine. I really like the ability of doing that. You can kind of set it up to different grain weights, different calibers, so you can really custom tailor it to your application. The overall build quality, I have no issues with at all. There is one thing I wish they would have done, and I will show that to you here directly. I wish they would have put some sort of a cover on the back of it so that rear pillow block isn't completely exposed to the elements. I feel like there should be something back there to kind of cover that up. But really, other than that, and I'll put a inset photo of that in so you guys can see it. But I mean, you could put something there to kind of cover that up if you wanted to. A lot of good features. I mean, the overall construction seemed to be good. The kind of the coating on all the steel is kind of meh, but you know, I mean, you're going to shoot it. It's going to bust off anyway. Nothing a can of spray paint can't come back and cover up just to keep the rust at bay. But I've had really good luck with this company's products. I've got two of their silhouettes, like I mentioned on the tabletop portion of this review, and they have been shot to, I mean, to no end. I have shot them with everything from 22 LR all the way up to 338, and they have done just fine. I have no issues at all, and I fully plan on getting some more of those for the range. But, you know, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Is this something you all would pick up for your range or your application? I'm not gonna lie, they are a lot of fun. No question about that. So definitely make sure you have some ammo on hand. But if there's anything else on the HighWild catalog that you would like to see me review, let me know that down in the comments too. I'd really be interested to hear that. But please like, share, and subscribe. It really does help the channel. As always, shoot straight. Later.